camera failure there. Good evening, and welcome to 7 o'clock Beginners Yoga here at the Hatha Yoga Center in the University District of Seattle, Washington, where we're experiencing kind of like a fall-like weather for the past few days, hoping that the sun will come out here pretty soon. So tonight I was thinking we could start on our back on the floor. And you might want to have a strap handy. So if you don't have a yoga strap, you can use like a bathrobe belt or something like that. And so just bring yourself onto your back and just go ahead and let yourself relax for a moment on your back and begin to tune into your breath. So deepen your breath and experience a more complete breath, perhaps. You could bring one hand to your belly and just feel the movement of the belly as you breathe. Just allow yourself to be very surrendered for a moment and just be very immersed in the sensation of your breath. So feel the back of your rib cage against the floor and feel how your rib cage also moves with the breath as your lungs fill and empty. Let your head be heavy. Just take a quick scan through your body and notice if there's anywhere where you're holding on. Like I just noticed that my right shoulder was a little bit tense. So see if you can really soften and allow gravity to help you do that in this position. And just take 2 or 3 more conscious breaths in and out through the nose, as we do in yoga practice. And then draw your right knee in towards your chest. You could reach for the knee and just kind of moving around a little bit, feeling into the front of your hip. Don't pull too hard, just be gentle. And then you can keep your right hand on the knee and just start to make circles with your knee so that your hip is circling around in your pelvis, your femur bone. The coming together of which we call our hip. So circling in one direction, then you might switch and circle in the opposite direction. You can keep your left knee bent and the sole of your left foot on the floor, or you can extend your left leg. It's a little bit more work with the left leg extended. And then release your hands down back to the floor, the backs of your hands on the floor, and extend your right leg. And, your knee can be bent, that's fine. This is just starting to warm up. So circling your foot, and if you feel any clicking or popping, just back off, keeping your sacrum on the floor, so making the circles perhaps from smaller to bigger in one direction. And then switch directions, and you could keep those circles big and then start making them smaller. Just feeling through the movement of your hip. Feeling how the engagement in your belly kind of helps you to support that movement. And then just, again, draw your knee in towards your chest. You could reach behind your thigh and circle your ankle in one direction. And then in the other. And you can move your toes. And then draw the knee in again and just take a breath. And then bring the sole of your right foot down to the floor and draw your left knee in, reaching back for the shin. You could extend your right leg or keep your knee bent. Just feeling into the fold at the front of the hip, the deep fold. Not pulling too hard, just warming up. And then you can release your right hand and keep your left hand on the knee and start to make those circles with the knee bent, with your left hand on the knee. Just moving through the range of motion of the hip, rotating it around, and then switch directions. And then release both hands back to the floor and extend the leg, the left leg up, and start making those circles, going from smaller to bigger. Just feeling for smooth movement. So if you feel any kind of clicking in your hip, just back off a little bit. Find your belly muscles, keeping your sacrum on the floor. As the circles get larger, you could switch the direction of the circling and maybe move from larger to smaller. Still allowing your upper body to be relaxed. And then draw that knee in again. Just moving it a little bit, reaching back for your, reach back for your thigh and circle your ankle. You might have a little popping in the joints, that's fine. It's normal. And then draw the knee in. And then draw the other knee in. And you could lift your forehead up towards your knees and make a little ball. And then release your head back and just circle both knees. You can circle in both directions. You can make the circles as big as you want. And then reach the arms and legs up and just shake them out. Like a dead bug, except you're moving. Just shaking and breathing. And then again, just reach behind your knees and rock your way back up. And we'll just turn around and come to hands and knees. So bring your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees right underneath your pelvis. And we'll start to do some cat-cow, so round your spine, lift the belly, exhale all the air out, tip your pelvis, let the movement ripple up your spine. So moving back and forth with the breath through cat and cow. And then we'll come back to our tabletop position. And we'll reach back with the right foot, tuck your foot, the ball of your foot into the floor or your mat, and stretch into the back of your calf. You can rock back and forth a little bit, kind of lifting the belly, keeping the back of the head lifted. And then let that foot float up and press back through the heel, reaching forward with your left arm. And you could lift the top of your left foot off the floor for a little bit more work in your core, lifting your belly, finding your breath. Your shoulder blades are staying right on the rib cage. And you're breathing, finding your steady breath, your steady gaze. One more breath, and release that. And just circle your hips a little bit in one direction, the other, and then we'll come back to tabletop and press back through the left foot, tucking your toes, and you could rock a little bit, feeling into the back of your left lower leg and your ankle, ball of your foot, and let that foot float up. Again, your toes are pointing towards the floor, reaching forward with your right arm, keeping the head lifted and your neck neutral, drawing belly up and in. breathing. You could try lifting the top of your right foot up off the floor. Nice, smooth, steady breath. And releasing that, and circle your hips off your rib cage. And then tuck your toes and bring your hips back, just stretching into the bottoms of your feet and maybe into the back of your lower legs, your Achilles. Rocking a little side to side maybe. And then coming back up, and let's just rock a little bit into the wrists, so just side to side and forward and back. Just kind of moving around and feeling into your wrists. You could take one hand and turn your fingers back towards your body, towards your knees. And then maybe both, or you can switch hands. And I'm just going to scooch over here. And then walk your knees back and reach forward, spreading your hands, keeping your forearms lifted off the mat, and wrap the elbows in, bringing your forehead down or to a block or something if it doesn't come comfortably to the floor. So you're in a high-hipped prayer, tractioning your spine. Find your nice, deep, steady breath. You can feel how you can broaden in your upper back if you wrap your elbows in. So an energized version of this prayer pose. And then let's come up to downward facing dog. So tuck your toes and find your hands about shoulder width, wrap the elbows in, lift your hips, and just come into downward dog, bending into one knee and the other. Moving your hips a little. Keep the shoulders wrapping in and the shoulder blades sliding. Let your neck be at ease. And then probably with your knees bent quite a bit, you can come forward. I like to come onto my fingertips and come into your, walk forward into your forward bend. You could try walking your hands out and reaching maybe for the floor. I've got carpet here so I can kind of dig my fingers in, and keeping your spine long. That might be too much. You can walk your hands up onto the thighs, just keeping this hinge at the hip and the neutral spine for now. Feeling your belly lifting, finding your breath. You can bend the knees as much as you need to. You can move a little. And then let's come up, swing the arms up. And reaching up. You might take your thumbs and interlock them and spread your hands. Still kind of wrapping the elbows in though, so the shoulder blades aren't, the elbows aren't flaring out. And you could let go of that and reach up. Feel your grounding through your sacrum, lifting up through the pubic bone, up through the heart. Exhale, come forward. Again, with this long and neutral spine. Moving a little bit, finding your breath. Feeling how the backs of your legs are slowly starting to feel more comfortable in the forward bend after just a few breaths, a few moments. You can keep your knees bent as much as you need to. And then let's step the left foot back and come up into the lunge. So bring the weight back and up over your left knee, and you could test that by lifting your right foot and keeping that engagement. Let your arms come up, lifting your gaze. Again, feel for the shoulder blades to be able to move. So you're not stuck. You can Kind of feel them sliding even as you're reaching through your fingertips, softening it in your shoulders, reaching from here, like from your lats, more than from your neck and shoulders. And then exhale, you could bring your hands down to your right knee and maybe just step forward a little bit. Keep this grounding through the sacrum and lifting up. Maybe a little engagement in the left buttock, outer hip. So you're sinking, but you're also lifting. And you're finding your breath, and your breath is full, and you're breathing in and out through your nose. Staying focused, finding your gaze. And then let your hands come down. You could bring your torso kind of alongside your thigh. Coming a little, keep the head and shoulders lifting, so be a little deeper. You can always have it be on your fingertips, or if that doesn't work because you're starting to round over, just be on your knee. And then maybe you can walk that right foot back a little bit and just come a little deeper into the stretch of the back of the right calf and ankle. Just for a moment. And then bring your weight back and the knee more over the heel, and take a little twist. So you just bring your left hand down by the right foot and open your chest. So lengthening up. If it's comfortable for you to reach back for your foot, you could do that for your left foot with your right hand. Maybe bringing the heel in closer to the buttock for more of a quad stretch, but keep lifting up. And then release that foot if you have it. And let's come back to downward dog again. So think about how you're going to get there. You're going to tuck your back toes and you're going to use your core to lift up and step the right foot back. And then just bending into one knee and the other for a moment. Maybe moving the hips a little side to side. You could also bend the knees and then kind of lift up through the hips a couple times, letting your knees come down. Keep the shoulders sliding down the rib cage. And then from there, we'll come forward into plank pose. That could be with the knees down, or the knees can be lifted. Keeping the back of the head lifted, long neutral spine. And just bending your elbows, you could bring your knees down, coming all the way to the floor with your elbows by your sides. And let's sweep the hands back, clasp your hands at your sacrum. You could keep all your toes on the floor at first and just kind of roll your upper body side to side. Moving your neck, your shoulders. And then maybe you're going to roll all the way onto the left. Breathing, keeping your neck long. And then rolling back onto the belly and over onto the other side. Nice deep breath. And back onto your belly. And lift up, lift the toes. You could lift your hands off your back. And take a breath, keeping the neck long, no crunching. And then release, and maybe bring your arms forward. Just come into your Sphinx pose, dragging your belly forward, like you're pulling your heart through your arms, lifting the belly, Feel how you can take some of the compression out of your low back just by tucking the pelvis a little bit, lifting the belly. Maybe you're turning your neck a little, just feeling into your neck movements. And then we'll bring the hands right under the shoulders. Tuck your elbows in by your sides, bend your knees. Bring your hips back, and then lift up into your downward facing dog again. And we'll step right foot up and over the left, bringing the sole of the right foot to the floor and lifting your right hip, reaching through your right hand. Getting a lower back stretch on the right side, feeling the length in the waistline and all the way up into the shoulder. Stepping back through center, and the left foot comes up and over the right foot. Lifting the left hip. Nice steady breath. And then back to center. And then we'll step the left foot forward and bring your body weight back up over the right knee so that you could even lift your left foot. And keep that engagement and that arrangement. And let your arms come up. Hips stay square. And breathing, reaching, sinking and lifting. If you feel any tension in your neck or jaw that doesn't need to be there, just gently coaxing yourself to soften and release it. Just being aware of these habits that we have, patterns. Patterns of behavior in our bodies. And then we'll bring the hands down and we'll walk the left foot forward. So you can have your hands on the knee lifting up, maybe a little engagement in the right glutes. Just to keep from dumping into the low back, so we're lifting up. And then maybe come further. You could bring your fingertips to the floor. Keep shoulders and head lifted, breathing. Hugging the knee in. Feel how the left hip is drawing back even as the knee is moving forward. So there's kind of a dynamic tension in the femur bone. And then we'll just walk the left foot back a little bit and bring the knee forward to stretch into the back of the left calf and ankle joint. Breathing. Nice steady breath. Only going as deep as feels good and comfortable and safe, and also you can judge that by your breathing. And then bring your weight back, and so the knee is more over the heel, and take a twist. So opening up your chest, kind of leaning back, leaning the head back. And then maybe you're reaching for the right foot, drawing the heel in towards the buttock. You don't have to do that, but that's a possibility. Getting a stretch in the left shoulder, kind of pressing into the floor, lifting up. And then release the foot. And then just turning forward again, and think about how you're going to step forward doing it intentionally. So less momentum, more muscular control, stepping into your forward bend. Momentum is fine, but just practicing different ways of movement. We use momentum all the time as a strategy to move our bodies. But it changes things if you're doing it with more intention not to use momentum. So think about as you come up to your standing pose, instead of swinging the arms up and moving quickly to get momentum, come up slowly. Bend your knees and just come up really slowly. Reaching. Again, feeling for the grounding of the sacrum and the lifting of the pubic bone and heart. And then exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. And just pause for a moment to observe your breath, to feel your heart beating. And let's do one more kind of slow sun salutation-like series. So raising the arms again. Ground rounding through your sacrum, lifting up through the heart. Exhale, come forward. Keeping some awareness of your neck. So keep it long and in a neutral position, just like the rest of your spine. You can have your knees bent, hinging forward at the hip, feeling your weight, the weight of your body and how it's distributed over the soles of your feet, and how the soles of your feet touch the floor. Maybe you could lift all your toes and lengthen them out and spread them a little bit. Just notice your habits of how you stand and what your toes are up to and that sort of thing. We might be able to avoid things like having our toes get all crunched up as we get older and overlap each other and things like that. If we pay more attention to our feet as we walk and to our shoes and how we use our toes and those kinds of things. And then from here, let's step the right foot to the back of the mat. Keeping your back heel lifted, your hips square, bending your right knee so your pelvis stays neutral, perpendicular to the floor, letting the arms come up. You can actually clasp your hands and press them out in front of you. Kind of draw your shoulders down and then let your arms come up. There will be a place where it'll feel pretty tight and you might just pause there. You might not be all the way up, it might be out in front a little. Just breathe. Sometimes we'll move our whole body to get the arms to come up. Then release your hands. Coming just a little deeper. And then bringing the hands down and stepping back consciously to your downward facing dog again. And here in your downward facing dog, you might want to take a variation where maybe you reach your right hand back. You could bring your palm to your sacrum and open the shoulder. Wrap your left elbow in. Watch for tension together in your neck. Just keep it loose. Releasing your right hand. Bring your left hand back up to the sacrum or buttock. Palm facing down and open the shoulder. Wrap the right elbow in. So you're in a three-limbed dog with a little bit of external rotation of your left shoulder. And then bringing the hand back. And we'll come forward again into plank pose. Keeping the head lifted as you come forward. You're welcome to bring your knees down. And then with your elbows right by your sides, come down maybe about halfway. So you could do this with your knees down. Keep your shoulder blades on your back. And then come up into your cobra pose. So press into the hands and roll the shoulders back and down. And you can always be down in a Sphinx pose as well. So lengthening up through the crown of the head, opening the chest, breathing. You can feel for just the right amount of engagement in the back of your body and your legs. Lifting belly. And then bending your elbows again, coming down onto the floor, just rocking the hips a little bit, side to side. And just relax and bring maybe your chin down onto the hands. And then keeping the left side of your body relaxed, so the left thigh is relaxed. Lift your right leg. Keep your hips on the floor. So you're going to be using muscles in the back of your right leg and your butt to lift that leg up. Reaching back through your toes. Try to relax the shoulders so it's here that you're feeling it. And then bend the knee so the sole of the foot is pointing straight up towards the ceiling, and then just pulse your heel up a couple times. Feel where the movement comes from. See if you can feel it coming from your buttock and your hamstrings. Probably feel it in front of the hip a bit. And then just release that leg and let it go. Soften right thigh, and then we'll lift the left thigh off the floor, reaching back through the toes, keeping your pelvis on the floor, and steady breath. You keep your head down or lifted, just keep the neck easy. Breathing, and then bending your left knee so the sole of the foot is pointing straight up, and then pulsing your heel up and down, moving from the buttock and the hamstrings. Keeping your right leg relaxed, so you're not pressing down with the right leg to make that movement happen. And release it, and then just maybe circle, windshield wiper your legs a little bit. And then let's bring the left leg on top of the right, and you could reach back and clasp your hands, coming up into locust pose, but your legs are crossed. So squeezing your knees together. If you keep your hands lifted, it's a little more stretch and strengthening in the shoulders than if you relax them. You might experiment with that. And then switch the cross of your legs, kind of drawing everything in towards center, lifting up. Nice deep breath, and release. And again, just rocking your hips. Then bringing your hands under your shoulders. Draw the elbows in by your sides and press up. Then we'll come right back up to downward facing dog. And let's lift the right leg straight up, keeping your hips square. You can come up onto the ball of your left foot. So reach up, almost like a standing splits. And then you could stack your hips and bend your right knee. So you're stretching the front of your belly and your front of your hip. And then straighten that leg up again, come back to center. And let it come down. And let your left leg float up. Try to keep your hips really stable so you're not moving them at first. Coming up onto the ball of the foot. And then you could stack the hips and let the left knee bend. Keep wrapping your elbows in and pressing into your hands. And then straighten that leg up. And let it float down. And then we'll step the right foot all the way to the front of the mat, coming up into our lunge. So bending your back knee, lifting your gaze. So if you straighten your leg, it's going to tilt your pelvis forward. So you can straighten it a little bit, but keep your pelvis in this position. You could try that thing again where you interlock your thumbs and spread your fingers if it feels good. One more breath. And then release the hands and step forward into your forward bend. Finding your steady breath here. You could almost do a little cat-cow. Maybe walk your hands up a little higher and just round your spine. And then arch. Just moving through a couple rounds of that. And coming back to your forward bend. And then sweeping the arms up. So really ground through the tailbone, through the sacrum. Lift up. And bring your hands together at your heart. And just pause again. Just bringing yourself back to the awareness of your breath. Taking a few breaths. Letting it be very conscious and feeling the breath coming in and out. And then let's step sideways on our mats. Or maybe you're not using a mat, but stepping into this wide-legged position. And slowly hinging forward. You can bend the knees a bit, just coming down. And then we'll just move back and forth, bending into one knee and the other. You can let your shoulders and your elbows move. Just letting it be easy, keeping your spine long. And then coming to center and taking some position that feels good. You might just have your hands down, or you might bring your hands back and clasp the hands and let the arms come up, keeping your shoulders and your head lifted if you do. Or you could also bring your hands back behind your neck and traction. So lots of possibilities. Breathing wherever you are. And then coming back to your center, let's walk the hands over towards the lower right leg or ankle. Let your head relax, coming into this stretch of your side body. So the left hip keeps drawing back. Your breath stays quite full and deep. Tipping the tail up if you can. You can always keep the knees bent a little if you need to. And then walking your hands over towards the other foot. Nice deep breath. Let your head relax wherever you are in this pose, feeling how the weight of your body, again, is distributed over the soles of the feet. So it's kind of easy sometimes to let the inner edges of your feet kind of collapse, or to collapse into the outer edges, just noticing what your habits are, correcting it when you can, then walking back to center and doing this bending into one knee and the other again, just letting it be easy. And then we'll turn towards the left foot. So we're gonna bring our feet into pyramid. So step your back foot in a little bit. The toes of your right foot or your back foot are angling out towards the edge of the mat, and your feet are on as if they're on railroad tracks, so not too narrow a stance. In other words, hip width. Finding your long spine. So that might mean you need to walk the hands up onto the thigh, or maybe onto a block. Or maybe you can touch the floor, but if you're touching the floor, you're doing so with this long neutral spine, drawing your left hip back. So kind of bend your knees a little bit and commit your feet to the floor, pressing the mound underneath the big toe of your left foot into the floor as you slowly straighten your left knee and draw the left hip back. So feel that again, there's like this tension in the leg as it's reaching forward and also drawing back at the same time. Just another breath there. And then we'll take the twist. So your right hand can stay right down by the left foot. And you're going to turn and open the chest. You can keep your left hand on the sacrum, or you can let it come up, opening your chest. Again, feeling for that mound underneath the big toe to press into the floor as you draw your left hip back. Feel how your thighs are kind of drawing towards each other. So you feel that strength up the center of your body. Just one more breath, keeping your neck long. And then release that hand and just pause. And then keeping fingers on the floor, bend the left knee and lift your right leg straight up. So toes are pointing straight down, your sacrum is level. So you're in a warrior three pose with your fingertips lightly on the floor, and then take the twist. So bring the left arm up just like we did, but now we have our back leg lifted. You could also bring your left hand to the sacrum, draw the belly in, keeping the neck long, breathing. If you really flex the foot, it helps you to feel your leg. Where is it in space? And then unwind behind your hand, fingertips back on the floor. Bend your left knee and bring that right foot back down so you're back in pyramid. Could be hands up. Just doing your best. And then just for a moment, step your right foot back a little, just a step, and come a little into a little longer stance with your legs, if you can. And then we'll just turn towards the forward bend again. Bending into one knee and the other, letting your upper body release. Your elbows and shoulders are moving. All of your joints kind of moving, coming back to center. And just pause here in the center. Let's bring the right hand in between the line of the toes, and we'll just open up into a twist here. So left arm comes up. You're just turning your spine. So keep drawing your both hips back and feel how your spine turns from the tip of your tailbone all the way up to the crown of the head. It just turns. You could also bring left hand back to your sacrum. And then unwind and come back to center, bringing left hand in between the line of the toes and opening up into the twist, maybe with the arm lifted, or maybe bringing that hand back to the sacrum. Watch for the head to drop. So the spine turns from the crown of the head all the way back to the tailbone, opening the chest, and then turning back down, bending a little. And then we're going to turn towards the right foot and bring your feet into a pyramid position. So your feet are on the railroad tracks. And again, you might try bending your knees a little bit, just press the mound under your big toe into the floor as you then straighten your knee and draw your right hip back. See if you can kind of lengthen your toes out so you're not gripping the floor with the toes. Sacrum stays pretty level. I'm just taking a few breaths here, feeling how the back of your right leg takes time to feel comfortable in this position. Time as in over the course of a lifetime, but also within one practice. Hamstrings are a thing to be reckoned with, and for good reason. You can always walk the hands up onto the leg higher or onto a block, so just taking another breath there. And then we're going to twist like we did on the other side. So opening up into the twist. Fingertips of your left hand might be light on the floor. You could also bring right hand, palm down onto your sacrum. So turning your spine again. We've just done this a number of times. So there's no forwardness with the head and shoulders. You're opening and kind of leaning back. Maybe take a little bit of weight out of your fingertips on your left hand. I know these are not easy positions to put your body into, so finding the right way to keep your long spine. You can always use a block under your hand. Then releasing the right hand and take a breath. And then we'll bend into the right knee and come up into, this is Warrior 3. So you're pressing back through the heel of your left foot, keeping your sacrum level. You can always bend your standing leg a little bit, standing knee a little bit if you need to. And then we're going to open up into the twist, so lifting the right arm. And of course you might bring your hand back to the sacrum, your choice, or the arm could stay lifted. Keeping your neck long, maybe bringing a little bit of the weight out of your fingertips, left fingertips. And then bringing the right hand back down and stepping the foot back and stay in your pyramid for a couple breaths. Just taking it easy. You can take a step back with your left foot so you're in a really deeper variation of this pyramid position. And then just turning, so you're back in your wide-legged forward bend. So bending into one knee and the other, you could even try lifting your hands up as you do that to give you a little more use of your core. And just take a breath. And then bring your hands to your hips and come all the way up. And let's do a few rounds of horse. So toes are slightly turned out and bending your knees, keeping your spine once again in this neutral position. So there's no pitching forward. You're keeping the curves intact as you sit down. And then we'll do a few breaths. So reaching up, inhale, and then exhale the arms down. Inhale, bringing the arms up. Exhale, feeling the strength in your legs. Inhaling up. If you want to challenge yourself more, you can try lifting your heels up for a moment and see what it feels like. Just a couple more times. Inhaling the arms up. And exhale. Let's do one more. Inhale, arms up. Exhale. And then straighten your legs and come again into your wide-legged forward bend. Bend the knees a little. And then let's turn towards the right foot and step back to downward facing dog. And then we will lift the right leg up, bend the knee and draw it forward for pigeon. So kind of setting yourself up with the knee so that there's no pain or discomfort in your right knee. And then coming down further, maybe to your forearms or all the way down, just finding your spot. And you have a strap. I asked you to have a strap handy, so I'm going to grab that. Should have mentioned it before getting into pigeon. So take a moment and have your strap right next to you. And just take a few breaths here. Just noticing what happens when you get a little closer to the floor and you're experiencing the discomfort in the outer hip. What happens in your mind. Bringing your attention back to your breath when you need to stay focused. Maybe using your gaze. And then walking your hands in, and we'll use the strap. You can just lean over to the side and bring the strap around your left foot. And then coming back to pigeon, you could use the strap to help you come into this position if that feels okay for your body. So that could be with both arms, reaching for the strap, or just with your left hand. And the strap can be really loose. So keeping the hips square and keeping the feeling, even though you can't really tuck your pelvis here though, that there's that kind of sensation that you're lifting up through the pubic bone, zipping up through the heart. Release that, keeping the strap right in the front of your mat. And let's lean over towards the right and bring the back leg around for a seated twist. So maybe the left leg comes over onto the outer right thigh with the right knee bent, or it might happen with the leg straight. Whatever it takes to keep your sit bones both grounding into the floor kind of evenly. So if you feel like your left hip is really lifting up in order to get here, then just straighten the right leg. Or if your right knee is hurting or something. So sit up tall, find your breath. Let your shoulders relax. Take your right hand underneath the left thigh and take your twist. So try not to let your right shoulder hike up. See if you can keep it relaxed and drawing down as you open your chest. Nice steady breath. You still have your strap handy. You may or may not need it for this. What we're going to do is either with a strap around the foot, the left foot, or reaching for the outer edge of your left foot, you could lift your left leg and extend it, still in the twist. So nice steady breath, using the strap if you need it. And then bring that foot back, coming back into the twist. If you want a little deeper, some people can bind. So if binding is part of your practice, you could do that. Another alternative would be to reach your left hand into the crook of your right elbow. And then that back of your left hand is kind of pressing into the kidney area, a little bit above it. And you're getting a little different stretch in your shoulders. Of course, again, the right leg can be straight here. And then turning and releasing that. And then let's come back to downward dog. So moving in some way consciously back to your downward dog and bending into one knee and the other. Just kind of evening yourself out. And then we'll let the left leg float up and we'll draw the knee forward and come into pigeon on the other side, keeping your strap handy. So setting yourself up and moving forward with your long spine. And you're free and deep breathing. See if you can feel the back of your rib cage moving with the breath. Feel how the breath affects your spine, your belly, your state of mind. Relaxing the jaw and breathing into the sensation in the outer hip muscles on the left side, into your anywhere else you feel it, like maybe in your outer thigh or your inner thigh or the IT band. It's of course fine to feel it in the knee as long as it doesn't feel like the kind of pain that is destructive. So if it's just the stretching of the muscles and tissues around the knee, that's okay. And then we're going to use the strap again, or maybe you have, as part of your practice, that you can reach for the foot and come into the rotation. But most of you will probably use a strap, so just turning, you reach for the strap, put it around the top of your foot, keep your hips square. You might reach for it with both hands. We kind of want to settle maybe into the left hip. Don't let that happen. Keep your hips square. You might be able to walk the hands back on the strap. Still feeling for that sensation of tucking your pelvis, even though it's almost impossible to do so in this position. It's a very deep back bend. And release it, keeping your strap handy. And then leaning to the left and swinging your right leg around onto the other side of the left thigh, perhaps with the left leg straight, or the knee can be bent. Finding the breath before you take the twist. So grounding yourself and just reaching under with the left hand and slowly coming into your twist, your seated twist. Watch for the left shoulder to creep up. Keep it back and down. Nice, steady breath. The sole of your left foot is on the floor. See if you can let your breath be really full. Sometimes in the twist we start to breathe a lot more shallowly. See if you can keep it deep. And then turning back, you might take a bind. So that might be, for some people, bringing yourself into that traditional bind, which I'm not going to do right now. I'm not ready for that. Or what I am ready for is to bring the right hand and reach for the left elbow and reach underneath the thigh. So you're kind of pressing the back of the right hand into the back of your lower ribcage area. Breathing. And slowly releasing. I forgot to do this one. Bring the strap around the sole of your left foot and lift it up as you twist, or reach for the outer edge of the foot. Sitting up tall. So you're kind of sitting more towards the front of your sit bones, which might mean that your leg can't come up as high, because if you're leaning back, you can lift the leg higher, but that's okay. Lifting up, twisting. You could also lift your back hand and reach back, palm facing open. Nice steady breath. And then slowly bend the knee, come back to the twist for a moment, and back out of it. And then we'll make our way back for our last downward facing dog. So do that in some way consciously. Just evening yourself out. And then dropping to your knees. Let your knees be wide. We'll say like the width of your mat. And come into like a child's pose with your belly in between the thighs, your forehead to the floor. Just rest for a moment. And then you could come further. I'm going to take my mat away here because it's kind of in the way. You could come further into frog pose. So your knees could come more wide apart and the feet could come towards each other. Nice steady breath. Keeping the head lifted. And just one more breath. And then coming back up, let's draw the knees together. Let's do one more quad stretch. So Virasana, hero pose. You could do that with one leg forward and one knee bent, kind of rolling the calf out, keeping your heel alongside your hip and coming back. Or you can do it with both knees bent. And maybe you come all the way back, or maybe you come part of the way back. You could also put if you have a bolster or a block underneath your seat. And if you're comfortable coming all the way back, there's just so many possibilities depending on your body. If you do come back with both knees bent, you could bring your arms up and over your head. Really do be thoughtful about your knees here. You're going to feel intensity around your knees, but you don't want to feel anything that doesn't feel right, because there is a little bit of twisting that happens with the knee there. So if you need to come up, if you're doing one side, switch and do the other side. staying with your breath. It's a big stretch for the tops of your feet, and if you're at home and you're on a hard floor, sometimes it's helpful to roll up your yoga mat and put it underneath the tops of your feet. My feet are very bony, and if I do this we have carpeting here, but if I do it on a hard floor, it's really uncomfortable. And then just make your way up and come forward, and you could just come up to stand and let your legs straighten when you're ready. And then as long as we're here, let's take our yoga mat. Let's do our little burrito pose for our yoga mat. So roll up your yoga mat, if you have one, I hope you do. Roll it up really tightly and bring it back behind your knees and sit on it. And when you sit on it, notice how as you bring your weight back, it gets to be more uncomfortable. So if it's the kind of uncomfortable where it's your muscles squishing and there's like sensation and it's intense, but you can stay with it and you can breathe, that's all good. If it hurts your knee in a funky way, then just back out. So keeping your chest open and your shoulders relaxed. You can let your arms come up. Keep lengthening up, feeling that pressure on the backs of the calves is pretty intense. Notice how you can breathe calmly. And then if you want to come up onto the balls of the feet, if your feet are okay with that, and bring your weight back, you could do that too. Again, if you want to lift the arms, you could do that. So my feet are pretty stiff in this way. This is a lot of weight to put into my feet, so I can't stay there for too long. But everybody's different like that. And then just go ahead and take that rolled up mat, just set it to the side along with your strap, and just come back and feel. It's a little easier to sit in this position after you've done both of those, the quad stretch and then the opening of the back of the thighs and hamstrings. And this is a meditation position for a lot of people. So just pause for a moment and close your eyes sitting in this position. And find your long spine and find your breath. Take a couple of nice, deep breaths here, allowing your belly to move with the breath. So expanding as you inhale, feeling how the diaphragm can move down to take more air in, and then as you exhale, just drawing the belly in at the end of the exhale. And maybe add a pause as after the inhale. So inhale and retain the breath for a moment. Keep your face relaxed, keep your length in your spine, and then exhale. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, let your belly expand. And then pause and retain the breath. Exhale. Just draw the belly in at the end. Inhale. Allowing the belly to expand. Filling the lungs. Just pause, retain the breath. Exhale. And then resume your natural breathing. And then let's sit over towards the left and bring your legs forward. And then just kind of let your legs kind of let go of all of that. Kind of letting your feet go in and out, and your kind of bending into one knee and the other. And then this is intense, so you may or may not be able to do this. Clasp your hands and see if you can bring your hands to the floor. So that could be way too much, in which case you could just turn your fingertips back and do that. But if you can get the clasp of the hands and bring the palms to the floor with the hands clasped, You could kind of walk the hands back. It's a lot of intensity in the joints, so just do it really thoughtfully. And then release that. And come into a forward bend. So keep your long spine here and your free and deep breathing. So this is Paschimottanasana, a seated forward bend. So if you find this incredibly difficult to do, ways to work with it would be to bend your knees and just slowly straighten your knees. Or just come back up and stay upright until you can find some forward movement. Hinge at the hip. Sometimes a strap is helpful, so you could also take your strap and bring it around the soles of your feet just to help encourage you to keep this long spine as you come forward. So breathing. And then let's roll back onto our back. So slowly rolling down. And you could reach up and stretch for a moment. And then draw your knees in. Just rocking a little bit side to side. And then let's extend the legs up and the arms out to the sides and go side to side with your feet. Just keeping your sacrum on the floor. You're moving very slowly. Again, try not to move with the momentum. You could do it all with lots of momentum, but you can also do it very slowly, side to side. Really feel how the belly muscles help to move the legs and also to put the brakes on before the lower back comes up off the floor. So moving very intentionally, side to side, with lots of engagement to control the movement. See if you can relax the upper body. And then draw your knees in towards your chest. And just rock a little bit that way. And then let's do leg downs. So, excuse me. It's getting towards 8:15. I'm getting sleepy. Soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. Heels together, toes slightly apart. Inhale, right heel towards the floor. Hover briefly. And exhale back up as you press your tailbone down. So you could go one leg at a time, like this. Or you could also do both, keeping the heels together and the toes apart. Inhaling, heels towards the floor, press your tailbone down and exhale back up. Just do that, like let's say 2 more times. Inhale down, press tailbone down, exhale back up. Keep your belly long. Try not to let it pop up. And then draw the knees in and just rock a little bit side to side. And then we'll bring our feet down to the floor with the knees bent. Keep your feet about hip width and just roll up into bridge pose. And you could clasp your hands and roll one shoulder at a time underneath. Keep that little curve under the neck. Maybe come onto the balls of the feet. You can also lift your toes and kind of press your heels forward. And then just very slowly rolling down, one vertebrae at a time. Drawing the knees back in towards the chest. And you might take happy baby, bringing your hands underneath or up under the soles of the feet, rocking a little bit side to side. Just making our way towards our final resting pose, Shavasana, horse pose. And then release again, just one more time. Draw the knees in and extend your legs one at a time. Bringing the arms down by your sides. Backs of the hands to the floor. Coming back to this position, I'm going to come to sit, but stay on your back and be in this position that we started out in, on our backs. Just noticing any changes that you feel from your original corpse pose at the beginning of class. Allowing yourself to be very surrendered and heavy. Feel the back of your body against the floor. So feel your breath coming in and out through your nose, and now it's coming to a more gentle rhythm, perhaps. So feel the back of your rib cage gently moving, pressing into the floor as you breathe, expanding and contracting. Feel softness in your face, in your jaw muscles. Just feeling the good feeling of having practiced for an hour and 15 minutes, maybe, or maybe you joined in late. But feel how even just this, just a few moments of conscious breathing, of conscious movement, even just a few poses can make a big difference. We always feel so like we have to do so much in order to feel better, but that's not always true. Sometimes we can just take a few conscious breaths. We can move our spine comfortably. We can do some cat-cow. Lots of different things we can do to feel better right away. But the breath is key. And now that we're wearing masks, there's a little bit more awareness of our breath being constricted. So one way to deal with that is just to do some conscious breath work every day so that you're practicing breathing comfortably, so that when you have the mask on, when you have something that feels claustrophobic, which I hear a lot and I experience too, you can actually breathe comfortably if you just kind of remember to breathe and you kind of relax into it. And just practicing being comfortable with that mask for the time that you do have to wear it. And then if you're on your back, still just rolling onto your side and coming back to your seat for a couple breaths. Just finding your upright spine, finding your seat, and taking a few conscious breaths in and out through your nose. And you could bring your hands together at your heart. You could pause for a moment just to feel gratitude for your practice, for your own inner teacher, your higher self, or your higher power. Namaste. Thank you for joining in with this class and for all your support of the Hatha Yoga Center. And I hope I will see you again. I'll be here Friday night at 5:30 for an all levels class. Namaste.